Hi, my name is Bradford Norbury. I'm a musician, literature, and movie fan, and I just got done watching American Psycho after reading the book. Disclaimer: I've already watched the movie like several times. Everybody in my gen has, but I haven't read the book until here recently. So the book was written by Bret Easton Ellis back in 1987, I believe, and it's 399 pages long. And the movie was made by Mary Harron. Uh, in 2000, and it stars Christian Bale, right? And I would say, like, whenever it comes to a lot of movies versus books, the book is similar to the movie, but they're never the same. In this case, I feel like the book is very different than the movie. It's the same character, same name. Other than that, I think that's the only similarities they have. Like the character of Patrick Bateman in the movie is not the kind of same guy you see in the book, and it's not just because you see more of him in the book, and it's not because it's just from the perspective of him talking in the book. It's because they're doing different things. Like the guy in the book, Patrick Bateman, he is racist as fuck. He doesn't just have a disregard for hookers and homeless people. He outright like thinks it's a good thing what he's doing, and he calls them all kinds of expletives. Like every time he kills like a black person in the book, he calls them a certain expletive, and he's very happy about doing that. And whereas in the movie, it's definitely subtle that he has a disregard for hookers and homeless people and things like that, but he's also like killing people of high status as well, like uh, Paul Allen, right? And what I find strange there is like in the book, he doesn't give a shit at all about like who he's killing as long as he's killing. And with that being said, one of the biggest aspects of the book versus the movie is the book is fucking boring, dude. It's boring as fuck. And it's not just because it's reading and you don't like reading. No, it's the fact of it's 399 pages of a guy describing. Okay, this is Paul Allen. He wears an Armani suit. He's eating this very tasteful restaurant food that if you aren't a millionaire you can't eat. And then this is my other friend. He's wearing a bow tie. This person's wearing Versace. The entire book is that way, and that's the point because it's supposed to reflect the yuppie culture of the 80s. And it's also showing where his mind is and the fact of he knows it's all bullshit, and so he needs to do something more. I think that's kind of the angle as to why he's doing what he's doing. And whereas in the movie it's a lot more fluid and it's a lot more short, and they did a good job of saying like, okay, this is our own thing. We're not going to be too focused on the similarities between it and the book. Like they show the big yuppie culture of like, whenever he kills Paul Allen, he's like, hey, you want to listen to Huey Lewis in the news? And he talks about, Susudio and he just goes in this insane detail. But it's not like in the book where there's like 14 pages of him just talking about like how much he loves Huey Lewis and the News and Genesis, and all these R&B singers, and it just goes on and on and on. And then in between that, out of nowhere, it would be like, it reminds me of the time I killed those two hookers down at the park, and then he'll just change the subject, And the entire book is that way. It never changes. It's that way from beginning to end. And the ending of the book, he says like, hey, this is the point where he's like, nothing has been learned. You have nothing has been changed by me giving you this confession. In the back of the wall it says this is not an exit. Or the door says this is not an exit. Like there is no exit to this. This is what his life is. Another one of the similarities between like the book and the movie is the fact of the entire time you really have no clue what the fuck is going on and what is real and what is fictional, because in the movie he is having a certain level of delusions, and by the end you think he's probably having a lot of delusions. It may all be in his head. And in the book you think the same thing, where there's definitely some shit that he's really seeing and some things that there's not. And other characters talk about him as if he doesn't exist. And that's from the movie and the book both, where they'll be like, "Hello, Paul Allen," and it'll be Patrick Bateman, or they'll say it's his best friend Steve Carruthers, and it'll be this other guy, and it'll happen all the time, and they do that amongst each other, and I think that's one of the reasons that sparked Patrick to kill Paul Allen in both the movie and the book was that, and like personally, I'll give my own theory as like what's going on in the book compared to the movie. Like in terms of the movie, I think that probably almost all of it is made up in his head. I think the thing that probably isn't is the aspect of him killing Paul Allen. The moment he kills Paul Allen in the movie, everything changes. He freaks out. Nothing is normal. Everything goes south, and it seems like he's feeling not guilty, but really concerned about it. Like this is a different kind of thing, and he's also it's a little hint, and it caught me off guard the first time I watched it, where I thought, okay, maybe that's in his head too, where he's talking to his lawyer, and he's like, "Hey man, I saw Paul Allen like 10 days ago in France." Well, his lawyer also called Patrick Bateman different names, and he's like called him Paul Allen before. His lawyer doesn't even always know who the fuck Paul Allen is, so he doesn't know if he saw him or not, because they don't give a shit about each other. They're all in it for themselves. That's the whole point, and it's the same thing with the book. Where, as well, in the movie, I think that's the only person he has killed, and he's definitely fantasizing about murdering other people. That's obvious. Like, I think he is some level of a murderous individual, and you see in his book, in his note, where he's just sitting around in his office, not really having to work, where he's writing about mutilating women and all this grotesque, BTK kind of shit that his secretary finds and gets terrified, Whereas in the movie, no, I think, or excuse me, in the book, I think he's really killing people. I think he's doing almost everything he says he's doing. As for the aspects of the scene with the police where he's shooting at them and the car explodes and sometimes gets away, a subtle aspect of that book a lot of people don't talk about is whenever he describes that, he's not saying, "I shot the police, I did this, I did that." He says, "Patrick Bateman does this, then Patrick Bateman does that." It's like he's talking about himself in third person. He's talking about himself as if he's sitting in his living room thinking about it, probably jacking off while thinking about it because he's nuts, And so, I think other than that part right there, yeah, he's doing the things he's talking about, and also at the end, where in the movie, whenever he's talking to that one lady at Paul Allen's room and he sees all these dead bodies and all that stuff are missing, they're probably either one, was never any bodies there and she's just a regular woman trying to sell that apartment, or two, she cleaned up his mess because all she cares about is the money. And I think it's more like the latter in the movie, or I'll have to watch that scene again, but I think it's more a case of, no, she's just trying to sell the house. There's nothing strange going on there. In the book, no, yeah, she covered that up. He definitely had bodies there, and all she cares about is progress and doing what she feels needs to be done. So yeah, she took care of that for him, And in the book, he kind of goes more into detail about that, So that's my review of both the book and movie. The book is not bad. It's definitely not bad. It's, for me personally, I will never read it again. For one thing, you don't want to read it again. Not just for the fact of it's boring as hell and it's repetitive. It's the fact of when he's talking about dismembering people and he goes deep into detail. He doesn't go very into detail towards the beginning or really even towards the middle of the book, but once you get to like the third section, he's just all out talking about it, saying horrible shit, and it made me sick to my stomach reading it. Like you don't want to read shit like that, and in the movie, I think that they probably needed to show a little bit more of that side, because there's that whole thing on the internet right now where everyone's saying, "Oh, Patrick Bateman's literally me, literally me." It's like, yeah, read the book and say he's literally you, dude. That dude, it should not be literally you. If you say he's literally you, you need to go to prison. So that's my thoughts on the book. I didn't like it, but I think it was worth the read, and you might want to check that out yourself. I love the movie. Catch you later. Oh, by the way, before I get off, if you guys want to listen to any of my music, you can check out my main channel. I'm also on 35 other streaming services. Just look up capitalized BENV on anything, and you should find me. I'm a rapper, a guitarist, I sing, I do it all. So also check out my main channel where the music is the focus of that channel. Where you can find me playing guitar, all kinds of shit, anything like that. So yeah, if you want, check that out.